1963 was a big year. The Beatles released their first LP, and in a small Brighton factory, one of Britain's most enduring fashion icons was born. After a visit to the USA, entrepreneur Ben Sherman was inspired by the small styling of the Ivy League college and began making shirts in Brighton in the early 60s. Success came soon enough as his shirts sold across Europe and the US. It didn't take long for the Oxford shirt, complete with a button-down collar, to gain cult status. Ben Sherman button-down shirts has been iconic for an incredible 40 years. What is it about this company? How could this firm expand from a location such as Brighton to Europe, US, Asia, and Australia in 4 decades? What were the ingredients for success for this company, now even to become internationally known? Kirk Dutmish, the assistant manager of Ben Sherman's flagship stores, tries to justify the business triumph. Since Ben Sherman started in the 1960s, how do you think the fashion industry has developed in recent years?
What I think, my personal view really, obviously when it started in the 60s, the fashion was mainly developed for the older kind of generation. You know, you had a lot of suave, sophisticated kind of gentlemen that had fashionable clothes. When it obviously started in the 60s, there was not really much into the fashion and much into the younger generation. But obviously with the way the mod started, and it was a lot more of a younger group dedicated towards the music and towards that kind of thing. So I think generally as it started now, everything's just got a lot more edgy, and everybody's starting to understand fashion a lot better. Obviously the designs that are coming out now are a lot more in tow with separate kind of customers. Obviously, you have the genres of people up into their music, and that's where a lot of fashion have kind of stemmed from. Music has stemmed so much of fashions throughout the ages, really.
In our research, we found that Ben Sherman targets mainly young customers who are into certain kind of music and lifestyle. So why are you targeting those people?
The reason that Ben Sherman's are targeting those kind of customers, I think it is going back to our bread and butter kind of range. When Ben Sherman started, like I said, it was all about the mods. It was all about the rock era. When all of that music, everybody really didn't like that kind of music. And the fashion was something to rebel against that. And Ben Sherman has always been synonymous with that. So as the customer's grown, obviously, people now still wear Ben Sherman, but they're into their 60s, 70s, and they still wear, the traditional Ben Sherman. But at the moment, with our customer at the moment, we're trying to get it into the younger generation because obviously the music's changed as well. So, they're still trying to keep into the rock generation, and Ben Sherman is all about the music, and that's where most of our styles develop really from there.
In the recent years, how did the financial crisis affect the business of Ben Sherman?
Since this financial crisis, if you're looking abroad, we've got obviously a very big range abroad. We've got like 6-7 stores in the US, stores in Dubai, Asia, Germany, Russia. It's been very, very big. When it's European or Australia or anything else like that, they really do like the brand because it is traditionally British. In the UK, we have struggled in some stores, but as obviously this store is mainly going with people that are tourists, that's why we're actually doing very well. So in London-wise, we've been okay with our kind of the money that we're bringing in. But when you look in other UK stores, we have struggled just purely because of the kind of customer, and people are counting their pennies. So I think a lot of brands as well, are feeling that outside of London. London's always been a big place for people to come out and shop.
We found that Ben Sherman doesn't compete with Hugo Boss or Marks & Spencer, to name both poles of the fashion market. So whom would you identify as your main competitors?
Yeah, you're right. We don't obviously go compete with Hugo Boss just purely because of their price range. Hugo Boss, is a German company. Their price ranges are unbelievable. If you look at a leather jacket with them, you're looking at £900. Our leather jacket, you're looking at about 150, 200. you know, and when it comes to Marks and Spencer's as well, that's more of like a family kind of thing. You know, the brands that people put in today, it's more of a family kind of environment, and again, the prices are a lot bigger. Our competitor, just purely for the kind of clothes that we're selling and, you know, the kind of message that we're sending out with the music, is, you know, definitely Fred Perry, you know, Lambretta, or you know, smaller independent stores like Merck or anything else like that. You know, their price ranges are roughly the same as ours, and they were set in the same kind of era and the same kind of music, 60s. You know, and so they've been going steady as well as we have. So that's where we've gone really from them. So,
what are your company's competitive advantages, if any?
Company advantages is Ben Sherman is a well-known brand. You know, whether it's the older generation or the newer generation, it is a very well-known brand. When it comes to abroad, being it is a British heritage brand, we've been very, very popular in that respect. When you're looking at places like Australia, at the moment we can't open enough stores for what they want. You know, it's selling very well there. And again, with the US, you know, that kind of customer at the moment is really pushing, you know, our brand just purely because they love anything that is British. So I think, you know, we've got that going for us, and the fact that our brand was started on music. You know, our brand was started on people trying to, you know, go back against you know, the system, and I think that's what they're trying to keep on with the generation now. You know, that's where they want to keep moving it. I think that's where our advantages lie, really.
On the face of it, it's fairly typical story about a successful clothing business, but as our interview demonstrates, it's so much more than that. It seems the brand is not much about clothes, but a way of life, a label, a status symbol that projects an image and tells the world exactly what you're about. Ben Sherman, 40 years of style and attitude.
So in summary, retail fashion has existed for a very long time. It has changed during the decades but never really disappeared completely. It has become a way of displaying our society and characteristics. Many brands build themselves upon and prize their product according to their history, heritage and reputation. Players in this market use well-established networks, partnerships and use the retail outlets as a prime location. In other words, anything that offers higher quality, good service, better accessibility, customer convenience, value for money and so on can satisfy industry. So we might even say the recent recession could not really affect the fashion industry, won't disappear from the scenery of humanity for a very, very long time.
It's a wrap.
Yummy McDo. Me too. We're gonna come and do the video, man.
Devil in disguise with another front end. It's possible to change this world, revolutionize the boys and girls. It's possible to educate the next generation that will rule the world someday. The changing times of the 21st century. The beginning of time, Earth will be mine, living in luxury.
Hold this. You got proper West. Okay, this is my panel. Listen.
On the seas, live howling in the moon, creating a world for minded. A unique perception,
Slow.
truth inside it. I know we can find it. It's just a matter of where and when we collectively decide it. The world is not a vicious place. It's just the way to be raised. Discovering time and space.
And
I know
that's
we could make it change. Rearrange the way that we appreciate the world today.
Oh no, I didn't take it.
Someone not treat them in the way that you want. It's possible to see your eyes be the devil in disguise with another front.
I stop it. We're leaving out here. We're going out here.
Change this world, revolutionize the boys
And
It's
stop.
possible to educate the next generation that will rule the world.